20-year-old Tony Rose served as an infantry officer in Burma, where his regiment faced long marches through jungle terrain and were in continuous close combat with the Japanese. At the end of February 1945, after fierce fighting on the banks of the Irrawaddy, Tony's depleted battalion was in the Mandalay Region when Tony became unwell and was treated for what was then called battle exhaustion. Tony wrote about this in his extensive memoir. It is not often we come across such a candid account of war-induced trauma and subsequent PTSD, and for this reason, and with the uttermost respect to Tony, we are sharing a few extracts of his memoir with you.
Not been feeling at all well. I'd not been able to sleep at night. I had a terrible headache. The doctor gave me some aspirins, but they made no difference. That night seemed worse. Shells whistled over and the heat became unbearable. I became delirious. On the 28th, I couldn't get up without yelling and falling down. "Gone bonkers," I heard somebody say. I was taken to Singu Admin Box. My notes are briefly that I broke down, whatever that meant. According to my notes, the tree I lay under was full of small birds, including canaries. I must have been in a bad way, as in Burma. On the 2nd of March, I was evacuated to Shwebo with battle exhaustion. My notes briefly stated, "Nerves wrong." After being doped up for 5 nights, it was explained to me that battle exhaustion did not exist. It was purely physical exhaustion, owing to the fact that my being only 20 years old, the body was not mature enough to withstand the strain of marching 550 miles in 2 months, fighting all the way. The mental part was due to the added strain or having the worst job in the army, platoon commander in the Poor Bloody Infantry. The ward had many shell-shocked men, many of whom were incapable of doing anything vacantly. I could not have been that bad. The sleeping draught each night for 5 nights that gave one exactly 8 hours sleep each night was the quick cure for battle exhaustion. Although I was physically exhausted still, they thought I could carry on a little longer, for their orders were to send back all officers that were at all capable, for they were needed urgently. They didn't say why. I was soon to find out. On the 7th of March 1945, I arrived at the battalion in the evening and reported to the company commander. I was greeted with the words, "You're back. Lead into Mandalay at dawn." What a greeting for return from hospital. I also knew that it was not that I was the most suitable one to lead in. It was because I was the only subaltern left in the battalion at that stage, except for 1 or 2 green reinforcements. I suppose I was the most expendable too, because I was unwell and not likely to last too long. I hoped I would not go as balmy as some that I left behind in the hospital ward. On the 9th of March 1945, we attacked the northern part of Mandalay. We advanced from the northwest, where there was no road and not much cover. While the bullets were flying, we surveyed this piece of ground from behind a bamboo hut. The company runner was standing alongside. A stray bullet hit him in the heart. He was dead. The bullet had come through the walls of the hut. The only reason I could think of for the best men to be killed is that they were good enough to be accepted into heaven. The remainder of us were not, and had to live on in this hell. On my return home, I just wanted to vanish. I saw an advertisement in the local paper for a gamekeeper. I applied, and I got the job. For 3 years I lived on my own, in a cottage on the edge of the wood, with no other house in sight, or within 2 miles. I have grown out of having nightmares, but still do not talk about those war years unless I have to. It still gives me a touch of the horrors when in a crowd, or even in a room full of people. I can't help thinking what a havoc a burst of machine gun fire would do, or a couple of grenades.
Tony emigrated to Australia, where he worked for the New South Wales National Parks and Wildlife Service. He was widely published and had a long association with the Australian Museum. He died in 2016 and was awarded a posthumous J.N. Hobbs Memorial Medal for his contribution to Australian ornithology. Please help to rescue and preserve more memories of the Second World War. Visit www.war-experience.org.